Welcome, everyone. Ready to plunge into the changing world of corporate boards?
Always ready for a deep dive, especially one that explores how boards are transitioning, going from simply keeping an eye on management to actively leading companies.
That's exactly what we are exploring. Our guide today is Boards That Lead, a really fascinating book by Ram Charan and Michael Useem. We'll be uncovering real-world stories, stories of success, like Apple's remarkable resurgence under Steve Jobs, but also stories of failure, like the unfortunate downfall of AIG during the financial crisis.
Those contrasting examples are truly captivating, aren't they? They highlight the incredible impact boards can have, for better or worse, on a company's fate. It's a shift from a more passive role to one that actively shapes the trajectory of a company.
A shift happening right now, and the authors argue it's driven by various forces at play. Things like increasing regulations, shareholder pressure, and the ever-growing complexity of global business. It's no longer just about oversight, is it?
Not at all. The book really dives into this transition where boards are increasingly involved in crafting what they call the central idea of a company, its core DNA. They are working side by side with executives on strategy, succession planning, and even risk management.
And they don't just theorize about it. They bring in these gripping, real-world examples. So we will be looking at both those highs and lows, as I mentioned, including the iconic revival of Apple under Steve Jobs, contrasted with the, well, less triumphant collapse of AIG during the financial crisis.
Which begs the question, doesn't it? What are the potential benefits and the potential risks of this new board leadership model? Could it genuinely enhance a company's performance, or could it potentially lead to, I don't know, unwanted meddling and internal strife?
Before we get into those juicy details, let's back up a bit. Let's trace how boards have actually evolved over time.
So the authors start by taking us back to, well, a time when boards were largely ceremonial. It was an era where board meetings were perhaps more about socializing than substance.
More about maintaining appearances than making decisions.
Precisely. They then shifted to an era of heightened monitoring, right? And this was largely prompted by, well, a series of corporate scandals and the rise of shareholder activism.
So from figureheads to watchdogs, essentially.
Yeah,
And now they are stepping up as strategic collaborators.
absolutely. And this transition, it wasn't spontaneous, right? It was influenced by a number of factors. Think about the impact of regulatory reforms, things like the Sarbanes-Oxley Act and the Dodd-Frank Act. These reforms, they were initially aimed at strengthening oversight, right? But they inadvertently empowered boards to, well, take the reins a bit more.
It's fascinating how those regulations, meant to curb excesses, actually created a platform for boards to expand their influence.
The authors actually make a really astute point here. This heightened level of board engagement, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution, right? It's a very dynamic process, one that's molded by each company's specific circumstances, its culture, the industry it operates in, all of those things.
Speaking of specific circumstances, let's dive into, I think, one of the most compelling cases out there,
Right.
Apple's resurgence after Steve Jobs returned. It's pretty remarkable how they were practically on life support, wouldn't you say, after Jobs' departure and the subsequent failed attempts to kind of, I don't know, revitalize the company.
Right. It was almost as though the company had lost its soul. This particular instance really underscores how a board can recognize the need for, I guess, more than just oversight, right? The desperate need for leadership. It's here we encounter Ed Willard, who was Apple's lead director at the time. He was a seasoned executive, someone who truly understood the gravity of the situation, the need for a drastic course correction.
He sounds like a steady hand in a very, very shaky situation. And his decision to bring back Jobs, that was incredibly bold, to say the least, especially considering Jobs' reputation for being, well, forceful might be an understatement.
Forceful is putting it mildly. Woolard had to persuade a doubtful board. Many of them had, well, vivid memories of Jobs' past clashes, his demanding management style. It was a gamble, a leadership decision that went far beyond simply hiring a capable CEO. It was about restoring the visionary who could, I guess, rekindle Apple's very essence.
And remember, Jobs didn't exactly return with open arms, did he? Demanding the resignation of almost the entire board. That's quite an entrance, wouldn't you say?
Almost inconceivable. However, recognizing the critical urgency of the situation, Woolard actually agreed to Jobs' terms. It exemplifies true leadership, wouldn't you agree? Making tough calls even when they disrupt, well, the status quo, the established order.
So Jobs' return marked the beginning of this, well, epic turnaround. But the board's involvement, that didn't end there. They remained active, playing a crucial role in supporting his vision.
Absolutely. Take, for instance, Jobs' insistence on eliminating what they called clone computers. Financially risky, yes, but strategically, it was imperative. The
Yeah.
board, they placed their trust in Jobs' judgment and supported him. They also approved things like a company jet for Jobs, recognizing the demands of his, I guess, relentless travel schedule.
Which brings up an interesting paradox. Larry Ellison, Oracle's CEO and a friend of Jobs, he later described Apple's board as both the smartest and the dumbest in America.
Quite the paradoxical statement, revealing the complexities of board leadership. Smart in reinstating Jobs and supporting his vision, arguably dumb in, well, the extent of perks granted to him. But hindsight is always 20/20, isn't it? At the time, they were operating under immense pressure, making decisions that had, well, far-reaching consequences.
It really underscores that board leadership isn't about some kind of flawless execution. It's about making the best possible decisions with the information available, even if it means taking bold actions that might appear unorthodox or risky.
Exactly the point the authors are making. This conventional model of passive oversight, it wouldn't have worked in Apple's case. They needed a board that was prepared to, well, embrace leadership, even if it meant venturing into uncharted territory.
And this leads us to another pivotal concept from the book, the central idea. It's not just some vague mission statement, right? It's the driving force behind everything, the company's strategy, its execution, and as we are seeing, board involvement.
It's like the company's DNA. It's the essence of what the company stands for, what sets it apart, what guides its every action. And the board plays a really critical role in shaping, refining, and championing this central idea.
To illustrate this, the book contrasts two companies, Bharti Airtel, an Indian telecom giant, and this fictional company they call Centrifugal Corporation, a consumer goods company.
Bharti Airtel is a fantastic example of a company with an incredibly clear central idea. Their emphasis on low costs, wide reach, and a unique business model, all of which are very clearly articulated, fueled their, phenomenal growth. And the board, they were actively engaged, working with executives to refine, really fortify this central idea.
So the board acted as this sounding board, right?
Yeah.
Challenging assumptions, offering valuable perspectives, making sure the central idea wasn't just like some lofty ideal, but something that was practical, something that could actually be executed.
Absolutely. In stark contrast, Centrifugal Corporation, they lacked this clearly defined central idea, and the consequences, while they were pretty devastating, it led to strategic blunders, internal discord, and ultimately a decline in their performance.
Almost like they were adrift, without an anchor, just buffeted by the winds of change, and not in a good way.
Exactly. It really underscores the responsibility of the board in ensuring that the central idea is not just something that is written down, but something that is ingrained throughout the organization from the top all the way down to the front lines.
So we've established that boards are, well, moving from monitoring to leading, and that this central idea is paramount. But how do companies build boards capable of handling this increased responsibility?
That's where the book's focus on recruitment comes in, right? It's not just about filling positions with people who have, impressive resumes. It's about identifying individuals who can genuinely contribute to the company's success.
Like assembling a team of superstars, each with their own unique skills and expertise, but capable of working together to achieve a common goal.
Precisely. And the book highlights several companies that did just that. Companies that successfully recruited directors with very specific expertise to address particular challenges.
Like, for instance, Lenovo. After they acquired IBM's PC business, they brought in directors with global experience to guide their international expansion. Makes sense, right? You're venturing into the global market. You need people who understand those diverse markets.
Absolutely. Another example, Grupo RBS, a Brazilian media company. They recruited individuals with expertise in entrepreneurship, finance, and digital media, specifically to navigate the constantly evolving media landscape. They understood that staying ahead of the curve required new perspectives, new knowledge.
And Delphi, the auto parts supplier, they sought out former CEOs who had, I guess, experience leading companies through some pretty tough times. Basically, battle-tested leaders who had weathered the storms.
These cases, they really highlight a crucial shift in how we perceive board composition. It's no longer just about, checking off boxes for independence and diversity. It's about assembling a team with the wisdom and experience to help the company thrive.
But let's face it, building a high-performing board, it's not always a smooth process. Sometimes you encounter what the book calls dysfunctional directors,
Mm-hmm.
right? Individuals who hinder the board's effectiveness.
Ah, yes. The individuals who, shall we say, disrupt the harmony of the boardroom. Their behavior can stem from various motivations. It could be a need to, show off their knowledge, a tendency to meddle in operational details, or even the pursuit of personal agendas that don't align with the company's best interests.
So what strategies can be employed to address this kind of disruptive behavior?
The book suggests a multifaceted approach. First, private conversations, addressing the issue directly, highlighting the negative impact of their behavior. If necessary, coaching to help them develop more productive boardroom skills.
So giving them a chance to course correct. But what if they just don't get it? What if they resist change?
In those cases, the book recommends removal from the board. A tough decision, undoubtedly, but sometimes it's necessary for the greater good of the company.
It underscores the importance of regular board evaluations, right?
Yeah.
Not just to identify those dysfunctional behaviors, but to encourage continuous improvement for everyone.
Precisely. And the board leader plays a critical role in managing these situations, ensuring there's open communication, resolving conflicts constructively, and making those tough calls when necessary.
Speaking of board leaders, let's shift our focus to this pivotal role. The book argues they aren't just figureheads. They're crucial for guiding board effectiveness and fostering that collaboration with the CEO.
They're like the conductor in orchestra, right?
Hmm.
Making sure everyone's in sync, that each director's individual talents contribute to a harmonious whole. It's a demanding role, requiring a very specific blend of skills and experience.
What are some of the key qualities that define a strong board leader?
The book outlines 6 essential attributes: executive experience, respect and confidence, collaboration coupled with restraint, personal connection, personal comfort, and resilience.
Okay, let's unpack those. Executive experience seems pretty straightforward. Someone who's been there, done that, understands the complexities of running a company.
Exactly. They need to understand the language of business, grasp those complex financial and strategic matters, offer insights that are grounded in real-world experience.
Respect and confidence also seem pretty self-explanatory. You need someone who commands the respect of their peers, someone whose judgment inspires trust.
Precisely. They need to be seen as a leader, someone whose opinions carry weight, someone whose guidance is valued.
Collaboration and restraint. Those seem almost contradictory. How can you be both collaborative and restrained at the same time?
It's about striking the right balance, isn't it? A board leader needs to encourage open dialogue, welcome different viewpoints, but also know when to step back, allowing the CEO and their team to, well, take charge. Guiding without dominating, supporting without interfering.
Kind of like a good coach, right? Providing guidance, offering encouragement, but trusting the team to execute the game plan.
Exactly. Personal connection is also crucial. Building strong relationships with fellow directors, it creates trust, it fosters camaraderie.
So being the glue that holds the board together.
Precisely. Personal comfort is also key. The board leader needs to be secure in their own accomplishments, not feel the need to, prove themselves or compete with the CEO.
It's about putting the company's interests above their own ego.
Exactly. And finally, resilience. The ability to weather setbacks, navigate difficult situations, and remain composed under pressure.
The steady hand at the helm when the seas get rough. Someone who can make those tough decisions and inspire confidence even in the face of adversity.
The book offers several examples of effective board leadership, showcasing individuals who embody these qualities. Anne Fudge at Young and Rubicam is a great example. She skillfully navigated the company through a tumultuous period of industry consolidation and economic uncertainty.
Fudge was known for her calm demeanor, her ability to build consensus, and her focus on long-term value creation.
Exactly. And then there's Claudia Madrazo at Aeromexico, who guided the board through a major restructuring in the midst of a global pandemic. She was praised for her strategic foresight, her decisiveness, and her ability to, instill confidence in the company's future.
These examples really show how vital board leaders are in shaping a company's trajectory.
Yeah.
They're not just overseeing management, they are active partners with the CEO, helping to steer the company towards success.
And speaking of partnerships with the CEO, let's turn our attention to one of the most significant challenges boards face: navigating CEO succession.
The age-old question of who takes over when the current CEO steps down. A decision that can be fraught with peril, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. CEO transitions can be incredibly disruptive, derailing a company's momentum, undermining performance. The book emphasizes the importance of careful planning, and I would say even more importantly, execution, to ensure a smooth and successful handover.
So it's not just about picking the right successor. It's about managing the entire process effectively to minimize uncertainty, to ensure a smooth transition.
Precisely. And the book provides a great example of a well-executed CEO succession. Ford Motor Company's recruitment of Alan Mulally.
This was back in 2006, right? When Ford was in a pretty dire situation. Market share was shrinking, profits were dwindling. They needed someone who could turn things around.
Indeed. And the board, led by John Thornton and Irvine Hockaday, they understood the gravity of the situation. They realized that finding the right CEO was absolutely critical for Ford's survival. They took ownership of the process, refusing to simply rely on, a headhunter to present them with a list of candidates.
They were determined to be actively involved in securing the right leader, recognizing how crucial this decision was for Ford's future.
Absolutely. They tapped into their networks, they consulted industry experts, they conducted a thorough due diligence to identify individuals who had the specific skills and experience needed to steer Ford through those turbulent times. And their search led them to Alan Mulally, who was then heading Boeing's commercial airplanes division.
Mullen had a pretty impressive track record at Boeing, right? He led the development of several very successful aircraft programs. He was known for his leadership, his strategic vision, his ability to execute those complex plans.
Exactly. He was a proven leader in a very demanding industry, someone with experience managing large, complex organizations, navigating difficult times. But luring him away from Boeing, that was no easy feat.
Of course not. He was a highly sought-after executive. Why would he leave a successful career at Boeing to take on the challenges at Ford?
That's where Thornton and Hockaday's leadership skills came in. They met with Mulally discreetly, they presented him with a compelling case for joining Ford. They articulated the challenges, but they also highlighted the opportunities, painting a picture of what the company could become under his leadership.
They were selling him on a vision, persuading him that he could make a real difference at Ford, that he could be the architect of their revival.
Precisely. And their efforts paid off. Mulally was drawn to the challenge, he was impressed by their commitment to Ford's turnaround, and ultimately, he decided to make the move.
And as they say, the rest is history. His appointment proved to be transformative for Ford. Mullally's leadership, coupled with the board's unwavering support, led to a remarkable turnaround.
Absolutely. He fostered a culture of collaboration, accountability, transparency. He streamlined operations, reduced costs, and really focused on developing innovative products that met consumer demands.
Almost like a surgeon, right? Removing what was unnecessary, repairing the damage, and restoring the company to health.
Exactly. And the board played a crucial role in supporting his vision, providing guidance, resources, and most importantly, the freedom to make the tough decisions.
They were his trusted advisors, his sounding board, his partners in this journey.
Precisely. Ford's success really illustrates the importance of a board that's actively involved in CEO succession. They didn't just rubber stamp a decision, they took charge of the process. They identified the ideal leader, and they provided the support necessary for his success.
But it's not just about recruiting from the outside, is it? The book also emphasizes the development of internal talent, creating a pipeline of potential successors.
Absolutely. Companies like 3M and Hertz are highlighted as models in this area. They've created these really robust leadership development programs that identify high potential employees early on and provide them with the experiences, the training they need to prepare for those leadership roles.
It's like building a farm team, right? Making
Yeah,
sure you have a pool of talent ready to step up when a key position opens up.
exactly. 3M, for instance, is renowned for its deep bench of leadership talent. They've created an environment where employees are encouraged to take on new challenges, to develop their skills, to nurture their leadership potential.
They're constantly preparing for the future, cultivating talent and equipping individuals with the tools to succeed.
Precisely. And the board plays a crucial role in this process, working with the CEO to ensure that succession planning is embedded in the company's culture, that potential successors are given the opportunities and the support they need to develop.
So 3M is all about building that deep bench.
Hmm.
What about Hertz? What's their approach to leadership development?
Hertz takes a slightly different approach, but it's equally effective. They have a very rigorous performance management system that identifies high potential employees early on and tracks their progress.
So they're keeping a close eye on their rising stars. making sure they get the right experiences, the right training, the right exposure to prepare them for leadership.
Exactly. And they also provide extensive coaching and mentoring to these high potential employees, helping them develop their leadership skills and prepare for the challenges ahead.
They're investing in their future, cultivating the talent they need to succeed in the long run.
Precisely. And again, the board plays a key role here. They review the performance management system, they provide feedback to the CEO on succession planning, and they make sure there's a strong pipeline of leadership talent coming through the ranks.
These examples highlight the importance of a board that's actively involved in succession planning, both internal and external. They need to work with the CEO to identify potential successors, assess their readiness, provide guidance and support.
It's about understanding that succession planning is an ongoing process, something that requires constant attention and a long-term perspective. It can't be a once-a-year agenda item at a board meeting. It needs to be woven into the fabric of the company's culture. It needs to be integrated into the CEO's performance objectives.
We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we?
Yeah.
Boards taking on more active leadership roles, the importance of that central idea, the need to recruit the right directors, the challenge of dealing with those dysfunctional directors, the complexity of CEO succession. But what about risk management? Where does that fit into this evolving landscape of board leadership?
That's where the books focus on, I guess you could call it transforming risk into opportunity, comes into play. It emphasizes the board's responsibility in overseeing risk management, ensuring the company is prepared for potential threats, potential opportunities, and essentially helping the company navigate the inherent uncertainties of the business world. It's almost like recognizing that, well, while having a great strategy, a strong team, and a clear central idea are all essential, we also have to account for those unexpected curveballs that inevitably come our way.
Right.
Those unforeseen obstacles, navigating those turbulent waters, and ensuring that the company, has a safe passage, so to speak.
The authors seem to be saying that boards need to evolve beyond simply monitoring compliance and ticking those boxes on a risk assessment checklist. They're advocating for a more active involvement, actually shaping the company's risk management structure, understanding its risk appetite, and really fostering a culture where risk management is embedded in the way decisions are made every single day.
Moving from reacting to crises to anticipating them, building safeguards, developing contingency plans, almost like conducting simulations, wouldn't you say? And fostering an environment where everyone's aware of the risks and empowered to, speak up, voice their concerns, propose solutions.
They actually cite General Electric as a great example of a company that successfully embedded risk management into its core operations. GE, they have a really comprehensive risk management framework, and it spans the entire organization. They have a chief risk officer who reports directly to the CEO, and they've empowered individual business units to identify and address potential risks within their specific areas.
It's almost like acknowledging that risks are inherent in any business, but we don't have to be paralyzed by them. We don't have to let them hinder our pursuit of ambitious goals, bold strategies.
And the board's role in risk management, it goes beyond just overseeing the process, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They're also there to guide and support the management team, help them identify those emerging risks, assess their potential impact, develop effective mitigation strategies.
Acting as strategic advisors on a risk, guiding the management team to really think through the potential consequences of their decisions, to anticipate those potential pitfalls, to have a plan in place if those unforeseen circumstances arise.
It's about finding that balance, isn't it? Balancing risk and opportunity. How do we encourage innovation and growth while also safeguarding the company from excessive risk or jeopardizing its long-term sustainability?
Precisely. And this brings us to another really crucial aspect of board leadership: discerning when to lead, when to collaborate, and when to step back, knowing the boundaries.
The art of leading without managing. Something that seems simple on the surface but can be incredibly difficult to actually implement. Boards are expected to be engaged, but they can't overstep their boundaries and start making operational decisions. It's that fine line between offering advice and dictating strategy, guiding without interfering.
The book stresses the importance of well-defined roles and responsibilities, clear communication, and a high degree of trust between the board and the management team. The board needs to understand its limitations, and the management team needs to respect the board's role and expertise.
It's all about setting clear expectations. Everyone knows where they stand, what their areas of responsibility are, how decisions are made. It's all about that clarity, that transparency.
The book actually offers several examples of how boards can effectively engage with management without overstepping. For instance, boards can play a really valuable role in shaping a company's acquisition strategy.
They can act as a kind of strategic consultant, can't they? Offering insights on potential targets, assessing the risks and opportunities associated with a particular deal, and making sure that any acquisition aligns with the company's long-term goals. But the ultimate decision of whether to acquire a company that rests with the management team.
The board provides the guidance, the oversight, but it's not their place to dictate the terms of the agreement or to micromanage the integration process.
Boards can also be really valuable partners in succession planning, as we discussed earlier. They can help identify potential successors, evaluate their readiness for those leadership positions, provide guidance to the CEO in developing a succession plan. But again, the decision of who to promote, who to hire externally, that lies with the CEO.
The board's role is to advise, not to impose.
The key in all of these areas is to establish those clear boundaries, communicate openly and honestly, and foster a relationship built on mutual respect and trust.
It's about recognizing that when boards and management teams work together effectively, it's incredibly powerful. It creates this synergy that fuels success, mitigates risks, ensures the company's sustainability in the long run.
So we've talked about boards taking on more active leadership roles, the importance of that central idea, the challenges of recruiting the right directors, dealing with dysfunctional director behavior, navigating CEO succession, overseeing risk management, and leading without managing. All of these efforts, really, they converge toward one overarching goal, creating value.
And the book really argues that the traditional definitions of corporate governance, which have largely focused on, compliance and risk mitigation, they need to broaden to encompass this broader concept of value creation.
It's a recognition that we've moved beyond the era of the passive check-the-box board. Boards are expected to be strategic partners, actively engaged in guiding the company towards success and creating value for all stakeholders, not just shareholders, but everyone involved.
Precisely. And to illustrate this point, the authors use a rather unusual example, wouldn't you say? They talk about the Himalayan Committee's role in Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay's successful ascent of Mount Everest back in 1953.
A mountaineering expedition. What does that have to do with corporate governance? It seems like a bit of a stretch.
It might seem unconventional, but it offers some really valuable insights. The Himalayan Committee, they were responsible for organizing this expedition, right? And they didn't just provide funding and logistical support, they took on a much more active role, one that actually mirrors the evolving role of boards today. They were essentially the board of directors for this incredibly high-stakes venture, and their leadership was actually instrumental in the expedition's ultimate success.
So they weren't just sitting on the sidelines watching the climbers from afar. They were actively involved in setting the objectives, assembling the team, developing the strategy, managing the risks, making sure everyone was prepared for those immense challenges ahead.
Their approach was remarkably similar to what we're seeing in the corporate world. They understood that success required more than just monitoring and oversight. It demanded active involvement in shaping the strategy, guiding the team, making sure everyone was aligned with the mission.
So they were the strategic advisors, the risk managers, the cheerleaders, the crisis response team, all rolled into one.
And their leadership proved crucial in overcoming the numerous challenges they faced. Logistical hurdles, treacherous weather, interpersonal conflicts, all while maintaining that unwavering focus on the ultimate goal, reaching the summit of Mount Everest.
How do they actually approach this leadership role? What specific actions did they take that contributed to the expedition's success?
Well, firstly, they recognized the importance of selecting the right leader. They initially chose Eric Shipton, a renowned climber with extensive Himalayan experience.
A legend in the mountaineering world. He seemed like the obvious choice to lead the expedition to the summit.
He did, but the committee soon realized that Shipton, while an incredibly gifted climber, he lacked the organizational skills and the meticulousness needed to manage an incredibly complex expedition with so many people involved. Climbers, Sherpas, support personnel. It was a huge undertaking.
He was a great individual contributor, but maybe not the right person to lead a team of that size and complexity.
Precisely. And the committee made the difficult decision to replace Shipton with John Hunt. Hunt, while perhaps less celebrated than Shipton, he had more experience leading large, complex operations, having successfully managed military operations in the past.
A bold move, wouldn't you say? Replacing a charismatic leader with a more pragmatic one.
Absolutely. But it turned out to be the right decision. Hunt brought a level of discipline, organization, and attention to detail that was really essential for this expedition's success. He meticulously planned every aspect of the climb: logistics, equipment, training, ensuring that the team was prepared for the immense challenges that lay ahead.
He was the CEO of the expedition, setting the strategy, assembling the team, managing the risks, ensuring everyone was on the same page.
And the committee supported Hunt's leadership every step of the way, providing guidance, resources, encouragement. They also played a vital role in mediating conflicts, ensuring the team remained united and focused on that ultimate goal.
They were the board of directors, providing oversight, offering guidance and support, but trusting the CEO to lead the expedition.
And their leadership was absolutely critical in overcoming the numerous obstacles, navigating logistical complexities, dealing with those treacherous weather conditions, resolving interpersonal conflicts among the climbers, all while maintaining that unwavering focus on reaching the summit.
So what's the key takeaway here? How does this mountaineering analogy apply to corporate governance and value creation?
I think it underscores the importance of boards that embrace leadership.
Yeah.
It's about being actively involved in shaping the company's trajectory, not just observing it from a distance. It's about having a clear vision, the right team, managing those risks effectively, and working together to achieve success.
Boards are no longer passive passengers. They are expected to be active participants, co-pilots navigating the complexities of the business world.
And it's also about recognizing that value creation encompasses more than just financial performance. It's about achieving a broader set of goals that benefit everyone involved: employees, customers, suppliers, the community.
So the Himalayan Committee, their success in guiding that expedition, offers valuable lessons for corporate boards. Embrace leadership, build a strong team, manage those risks effectively, and work together to achieve that shared vision of success.
It's a powerful reminder that boards can play a transformative role in their companies. They can help them achieve ambitious goals, they can help them navigate challenging times, and ultimately they can help them create lasting value for everyone.
Absolutely. Now, we've talked about the importance of having this, robust central idea, and the book actually digs deeper into this concept by contrasting Party Airtel, which had a very clear central idea, with that fictional company, Centrifugal Corporation, which, well, lacked this crucial element. Let's go back to Party Airtel. They were operating in that kind of nascent Indian telecom market back in the early 1990s when the government started opening up the sector to, private companies.
It was a really interesting time. The Indian telecom market was, incredibly chaotic, fragmented. You had all these players vying for dominance. It was a very, very dynamic, unpredictable landscape.
A real Wild West of telecom, so to speak. And amidst all that frenzy, Harpy Airtel, led by its founder, Sunil Mittal, they really rose to prominence. And their success wasn't just about luck or, aggressive marketing tactics. It was driven by this clearly articulated central idea that guided their every decision. So what was it? What was their secret sauce?
Their focus was on three key elements: low costs, wide reach, and a unique business model. Seems pretty simple, but incredibly powerful.
Let's break that down. Low cost. That makes perfect sense in a competitive market, right? We got to keep prices low to attract customers, to keep them coming back for more.
Absolutely. And Party Airtel achieved this through a number of innovative, cost-saving measures. For instance, they outsourced a significant portion of their network operations, which freed up capital for investments in other areas.
Smart move. And what about wide reach? Why was that so important for them?
Well, because of the government's restrictions at the time, no single telecom company could cover the entire country. So Party Airtel focused on building a network that spanned as many regions as possible, essentially maximizing their potential customer base.
Casting a wide net, trying to capture as much of that market as they could.
Exactly. And they did this through aggressive acquisition of licenses and infrastructure development in various regions. They also formed strategic partnerships with other telecom companies to kind of further expand their reach.
So they were playing offense, not just defense.
Yeah.
Expanding, penetrating new markets, establishing that nationwide presence.
Right. And then their final element, the unique business model. This is what really set them apart. They were among the first in India to adopt a prepaid model, which really resonated with consumers.
That was pretty groundbreaking at the time, wasn't it? Instead of those monthly bills, customers could just, top up their accounts as needed.
It was a radical departure from the norm, and it had several advantages. It lowered the barrier to entry for new customers, many of whom were hesitant about those long-term contracts. And it reduced the risk of, bad debts because customers were paying up front.
Smart move.
Yeah.
So they were targeting a wider customer base. They were offering greater flexibility, more control. It was a win-win. But having this brilliant central idea on paper, that wasn't enough. The board played a crucial role in actually bringing it to life.
Absolutely. They were actively involved in shaping it, refining it, championing it. They worked closely with the management team, challenged their assumptions, offered their insights, ensured that the central idea was not just, some theoretical concept, but something that was practical, something that could be implemented.
They were that sounding board, that strategic partner, working with the management team to, develop the game plan, provide guidance, but also trusting them to actually execute it.
It was an ongoing dialogue, a constant process of brainstorming, refining, making sure that central idea remained front and center in everything they did. And that close collaboration, I think, is what really made the difference for Party Airtel.
It's a great example of how a board can truly be a partner in shaping a company's direction. They weren't just observers, they were leaders. Now let's talk about Centrifugal Corporation, that fictional company that didn't have a clear central idea. What was their story again?
This was a company with, a history of success. They had established brands, loyal customers, they were profitable, but they were facing increasing pressure from, I guess, new competitors, evolving consumer preferences, and the realities of a global marketplace.
Like a ship that suddenly encountered a storm and they weren't prepared to navigate those choppy waters.
Exactly. And their lack of a clearly defined central idea only amplified their problems. They didn't have those guiding principles to help them navigate these new challenges.
Almost like they were sailing without a compass, just reacting to the winds, the currents, without a clear sense of direction.
And unfortunately, the consequences of that were, well, pretty severe. The company made a series of strategic missteps, which led to, a decline in market share, shrinking profits, and a plummeting stock price.
A classic case of a company that failed to adapt to the changing environment. They were stuck in their old ways, and the board, well, they didn't do enough to challenge them.
It highlights the importance of a board that's willing to take on that leadership role, to really engage with the management team and proactively shape the company's future. Simply observing, it's not enough.
So what's the key lesson here? What should boards and companies take away from these contrasting examples?
I think the lesson is pretty clear. A well-defined central idea, it's absolutely crucial for success in today's complex and rapidly evolving business environment. It's the compass that guides decision-making, it's the framework for strategy development, it's the unifying force for the organization.
Everyone knows where they're going, why they're going there, how they're going to get there.
Exactly. And the board's role is to help shape that central idea, refine it, champion it. They need to work closely with the management team, challenge assumptions, provide insights, and ensure that the central idea is not just some abstract concept, but something that's actually actionable.
It's about moving beyond that traditional role of simply monitoring and becoming leaders who help guide the company towards success.
That's the essence of boards that lead. It's a call to action for boards to really step up, to embrace that leadership potential, to partner with management, and to shape the destiny of their companies.
This has been a truly enlightening deep dive. Thanks for joining us and sharing your insights.
It's been my pleasure. And for those listening, if you want to explore this topic further, I highly recommend checking out Ram Charan and Michael Usim's book, Boards That Lead. It's a very practical guide with real-world examples, actionable advice, and insights that can help boards navigate the complexities of corporate governance in today's world.
It's a must-read for anyone who wants to understand how boards can truly make a difference, how they can help companies succeed, and ultimately, how they can contribute to a better world.
Before we wrap up, maybe we can distill some of the key takeaways from our deep dive into boards that lead for our listeners. Just a quick summary of, the 10 most important points.
Sounds great. A nice way to bring it all together.
Okay, so number one, boards are transitioning from a primarily monitoring role to one that embraces active leadership. This shift is fueled by things like increased regulatory scrutiny, shareholder activism, and the growing complexity of global business.
Number two, a clearly defined central idea is absolutely crucial. It's the company's guiding principle, its North Star, it guides strategy, execution, board involvement, everything.
Number three, recruiting the right directors is paramount. It's about assembling a team with the skills, experience, and perspectives to effectively handle this more active role.
Number four, recognizing and addressing dysfunctional director behavior. It's vital to have strategies in place to deal with those individuals who might hinder the board's effectiveness.
Number five, The board leader plays a crucial role. This individual sets the tone, guides the board's interactions, and fosters collaboration with the CEO. It's a really pivotal role.
Number 6, meticulous planning and execution are key for successful CEO succession. You want to minimize disruption and ensure a smooth transition.
Number 7, boards need to oversee risk management, making sure the company is prepared for those potential threats and opportunities that are out there. Proactive risk management is really essential.
Number 8, leading without managing. It's about finding that delicate balance, providing guidance and support without overstepping those boundaries or micromanaging. It's tricky, but it's essential.
Number 9, corporate governance is evolving to encompass board leadership alongside monitoring. Boards are expected to be strategic partners, actively involved in shaping the company's future.
And lastly, number 10, all of these endeavors, all these strategies, they should be guided by a strong set of core values. Values like integrity, independence, competence, and diversity. These are the foundational elements of effective board leadership.
That's a great summary. 10 key takeaways that we hope will help our listeners navigate the ever-evolving world of corporate boards.
It's been a fascinating conversation. Thanks again for joining us.
It's been a pleasure. Until next time, everyone, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the boardroom and beyond.